When you're in a trauma bond with the narcissist, you want to understand that that trauma bond is built on deception. The whole relationship with them, from start to finish, is built on deception. And it's not because you were weak, it's not because you weren't smart that you ended up in a relationship with this person, that you ended up in a trauma bond with this person. When they start that love bomb, they're giving you attention, they're giving you affection, they're mirroring you, they're becoming the person that you want to be in a relationship with. They study you, they figure out your likes and dislikes, and they shapeshift. They morph into the person that you desire to be with. And because they do that, you fall under their spell. You believe the lie. You believe the deception. And you accept it as truth. You accept it as reality. Partly because you want to. You want to believe that this is real. And why wouldn't you? You know, when you get into a relationship with a person, the last thing that you want to do is be suspicious of who this person is. You know, naturally, you want to believe that people represent themselves for who they actually are. And that's until you discover someone who's a narcissist, until you discover that there are people in this world who have a dark side, who pretend, they put on a mask and they pose as something other than what they actually are, for the express purpose of feeding off of your light, feeding off of your energy, and using your resources. They feel entitled to your resources. They feel superior to you. They see your compassion, your empathy, your the way that you form mature bonds. They see all of those things as weaknesses and disadvantages. And it's for that reason that they feel sort of a sense of manifest destiny if they're able to manipulate you, if they're able to deceive you, if they're able to control you, if they're able to abuse you and keep you coming back for more, then it's their manifest destiny to do so. That's how a narcissist thinks. They don't feel what you feel. They don't care that they're hurting you. They feel entitled to do so. And as long as you believe the lie, as long as you believe that illusion that they've created for you, that they're this kind, caring, compassionate, giving person with integrity, who cares about you, all of those things that you initially thought about them in the love bomb, as long as you hold on to the hope that they're still that person deep down inside, then you're going to be trapped in that cycle, that hellish cycle of abuse with them. And every interaction that they have with you, there is an implicit question that they're asking. And that question is, do you still believe the lie? even after you see behind the mask, because a lot of you, when you think back to the relationship, you saw behind the mask. You saw certain red flags, and you knew that something wasn't quite right with this person. But the problem is, you thought you were in a love story or in a drama. And so the things that you saw, it didn't register to you that this person was a monster, that this person was someone who wanted to take advantage of your resources, to use you, abuse you, and knowingly cause harm to you. It didn't register because you thought you were in a different kind of narrative. It's just like if you're watching a movie, and the movie is supposed to be uh, a love story, then when the character does something that doesn't quite seem like it's a love story, then you still go back to, well, no, this is a love story, so it's gonna come back to a happy ending. And when you're in that relationship with the narcissist and they're abusing you, they're projecting onto you and they're accusing you of things that they're doing. They're gaslighting you. They're making you feel crazy and denying things that actually happened in reality, making you think those things never happened. When they're triangulating against you and turning people against you and using those people as pawns in their game to control you. When they're minimizing your feelings and all of the atrocious things they do. A lot of them cheat on you. All of these things that they do, they hurt and you feel that abuse. But at the same time, what happens to a lot of folks is you justify staying with them because you tell yourself that there's going to be a happy ending, that this is the fire, these are the flames that have to be endured in order to make it to the promised land. That if I just hold on, if I just stay faithful, if I just stay strong with this person, ride or die, and stay loyal to this person and give them my all and give them this perfect love, then I will get my happy ending in this relationship, my happily ever after. And that hope that you hold on to, that keeps you going, that keeps you wanting to stay in that relationship, that's what ultimately ends up being a very painful experience. It ends up hurting you in a way that's unimaginable for people who have never been through narcissistic abuse. Because it's not just the narcissist that you fell in love with. It was the idea of being able to make right something that went wrong in the past for so many people. It's the idea of having someone to love and someone love you. It's the idea for a lot of people of having a family, building a family unit, having that family unit be strong and meaningful, and having something of substance, something of value, something of meaning that meant something to you on a very deep level. And so that hope that you hold on to in the fight and the struggle that you give that you take on in order to hold on to all of those things. It gives you a certain sense of meaning. It gives you a certain sense of purpose. All throughout that devaluation process, you're catching hell, but you're fighting the good fight, hoping against hope that it's going to pay off in the end. And that's until you reach a critical point where you're having the same conversations over and over again. Your feelings aren't being validated, they're not being taken seriously by this person, they're just being minimized. And it feels like you're just hitting your head up against a brick wall because the narcissist isn't budging. They're not looking at themselves, they're not being introspective, they're not taking any responsibility, they're not taking any accountability for anything. And you're having the same conversations with this person. You're going through the same scenes and same scenarios and same arguments with this person. And you can't get anywhere. They use Darvo, they turn it around on you. They have these confabulations where they remember things inaccurately. They use word salads where they're doing these mental gymnastics in their mind to justify their atrocious behavior, and they are saying things to you that don't make sense, and they're all over the place. And it leaves you exhausted and confused by the time they're done. And as you go through that frustrating process with them over and over again, eventually you get to a point where you realize this isn't going to change. This person is suspended. This person is stuck in a state where they're not going to mature. They're not going to be accountable. They're not going to grow emotionally. You realize that this person is essentially the same as they were when you first met them, no matter if it was 10, 20, 30 years ago. Emotionally, they're the same. They haven't matured. And when you get to that point, some will decide to let go, and some will decide to keep holding on to that hope, to that dream of having everything end well. But then a narcissist can't have everything end well. They can't do peace. They don't do reciprocity. And they don't do happily ever after. They follow the same pattern: idealization, devaluation, and discard. And so, even if they're still with you, they can discard you and still be living in the same house with you. But they don't make you a priority. They're going out, being with other people, doing other things. They're not being accountable. They may even be married to you, but behaving as if they're not married. And it's in that state where you're in an emotional discard. And what they're essentially doing is trying to get you to discard them so that there can be a reverse discard. Because narcissists are cowards. They don't have the substance to sit down with you and to say, hey, listen, I don't feel like this is working. Here's, my thoughts. What are your thoughts? They're not going to have that type of conversation with you in most cases. And so instead of facing you directly, what they do is they just behave very atrociously in an attempt to get you to discard them, to leave them. And really, you don't really discard them in most cases. You may leave, but a discard has a very callous connotation to it if you think about it. A discard is what you do with trash, something that has no meaning or significance to you at all. And that's how a narcissist does you. The discard is traumatizing because you see this person who you once loved and who loved you, or at least you thought loved you, go from being someone who you thought had a bond with you to someone who could care less about you. Someone who, when you look in their eyes, all you see is emptiness. All you see is this cold indifference. And it's jolting to recognize that cold indifference in the eyes of this person who you once believed really loved you. And it's when you experience that discard and you realize that what you thought was a relationship that would last forever, at least for the rest of your life, you realize that you weren't in a fairy tale with this person. You realize that the narrative wasn't about you enduring these things in order to reach the promised land. You figure out that it was a deception, it was a lie, that you believed, and that everything that you experienced with this person was, in reality, a horror story.